Hi, it's Dr. O on the go, and I have another question here that's come at me, and in fact it was very pertinent at the last weekend I've just been on, and that is, if I'm wanting to move in a direction in my life which is absolutely, to me, crystal clear, I know what I want to do. Maybe it's starting a network marketing business, maybe it's starting an internet business, maybe it's starting a property business, or just going off and starting a business, or you've decided you want to pack up your career and going a different direction, or you want to travel and move to another country, or you might want to adopt children, or you might want to change your health regime. For example, one of the biggies that I find as well is that people realize that, for example, they want to change their health, they want to come off meat and dairy, for example. In fact, I spoke to a lady not so long ago where her husband's a massive meat eater, and she absolutely is convinced and wants to move off meat and dairy, and she has done already, but she said he's just not on board with the transformation that she's going through, and he said to her, don't even try and persuade me to do this. So the question I'm getting at the moment from people is, and that's just one example of course, is how do I do that? How do I deal with that? How do I try and persuade my partner? And actually, in reality, you don't and you shouldn't be trying to persuade your partner. The first thing, because I've fallen into this trap many times over the years. My mum told me at an early age, and I guess that's still part of who I am as my makeup, is that, Ro, whenever you did anything, you were so passionate, you just wanted everyone else to be part of that journey as well. And people loved that passion, and many people came with you. I mean, even when I started to learn to canoe and go rock climbing, I would just get my friends to come out with me. We'd hitchhike to different parts of the country, we'd go and borrow canoes or save up our money and buy them, and then we'd go off canoeing on odd days when it's cold and wet, but we just loved it. So my passion came through, and I think that's the key thing here, is that the first thing is, ask yourself a simple question. And I had this conversation just recently on a property weekend that I was doing, where we were teaching people about real estate, and on the back of that there's an opportunity to come forward and invest in mentors, etc. And there was a lady there at the weekend, but there's also a gentleman there, a separate gentleman whose wife wasn't there, and both asked a similar question at separate times. How do I persuade my partner, and what if they don't want to do this? And my simple question is this: whatever it is you're choosing to do, whatever it is you've decided to do, you've obviously thought about it. You're not a stupid person. You're in the sense that you haven't just made this decision on a whim. You've taken the time to find out more about it. For example, our Turning Point events, we've got one coming up not so long away, 2016. I already know there's people that want to come on that event, and they're saying to me, how do I persuade my partner? I absolutely know I need to come. There's areas of things I want to work on. I want to just restructure my life. It's the start of a year, create a new turning point. I get that, but I can't persuade my partner. Or it could be something to do with a change of career. I can't persuade my partner. They're risk averse. You have to first of all decide, is it right for you? Is this decision right for you? And the philosophy I have is this: is it right for me? Is it right for the good overall of my family? And then is it right for the good of the universe? Those three things for me are key criteria. And if I can do and take decisions around that, then ultimately I believe I'm going to leave footprints on this earth, metaphorically, that will have left an impact for me, for my family, but also for the world around me as well. So the question is not so much about how can I persuade my partner. You should first ask yourself, do I feel comfortable with this decision for me? Does it feel right? If I make this decision and I move in a different direction, will my life feel more whole? Will I feel more fulfilled? Will I feel more on my path? Will it clear some of the debris, the bullshit, the negative that I'm carrying at the moment? Will it create a new environment for me? In my book Turning Point, for example, sorry about that, I'm on a train, you heard the announcement. So in my book Turning Point, for example, I've got a whole chapter on environment, learning to change your environment, literally repositioning yourself, changing your work environment, your home environment, where you live, the people that you hang around with, your peer group potentially. So there's lots of things that we make decisions about changing direction on. So you have to look at all of that first before there's any distractions at all from people around you. And so you focus on you. You sit down, write it out. This is what I want to do. This is the decision I've made. This is the path I want to go on. These are the reasons that I'm doing this. Check in that it aligns with your values. Once you're comfortable, that it feels right intuitively, and this is a conversation I had at the weekend with these two people, both the lady, and she was getting married, and the gentleman whose husband, it was his wife that wasn't there. I said, would you do this without them? Do you feel natural? Does it feel right? Is this path to financial freedom, putting assets in place, building a portfolio, parallel to what you're doing? Does it feel right? Does it feel like a natural path and a way to secure the future for your family? Yes. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much? 10. In that case, you've made a decision, both from a heart and from a head perspective. Now you've got harmony. Whatever that person says, you do not need to persuade them. What you need to do is you sit down with that person, and this is now talking into the subject again, and you tell them how you're feeling, and you say, look, I love you dearly, we've got a great future together, and I know that you love me enough to know that I'm smart enough and intelligent enough, and that's one of the reasons you fell in love with me and we're together, to make my own decisions, to stand on my own 2 feet. This feels right for me in every sense of the word. I've written it down, I've been over it again, and I'm clear that this feels right for me. So I ask you, please support my decision. You don't have to do this, you don't have to do it with me, but please support my decision and be alongside me while I'm doing it, because I'm doing it for us as well, and I'm also doing it for my own sense of purpose. And because you love me the way you do, I hope that you'll align with that. Because ultimately, if they don't, then you've got to start to ask your question about, well, are their values even in alignment with you? Is this the person that you want to be with if they constantly block you on the path that you want to go on? And that's not to be negative, but ultimately you want to be in a relationship where you're both aligned as well. So it's not so much about persuasion. They will come on board. Remember this, you can't push a rope, it'll just curl up on itself, but you can lead a rope. You can gradually lead a rope, and that's really the goal here, is to just ask them to support you at this stage. And yes, if it's a big financial decision that affects both of you, I understand that, but equally you've got to put your case on paper and say, if we don't do this, ultimately it's still going to cost us. I would like to do this properly, and I'd like to invest so that we can grow and move forward together, or I'd like to give up my job so I can start to pursue what I'm passionate about. I'm sure you want to be with somebody that you love, who wants to be doing what they love to do rather than what they feel they have to do, and then we become both unhappy. And of course, when you're in that space, it causes all sorts of challenges in the relationship. So that's the approach I would start with. And then of course, as you have sat down and gone through this, and there might be tension, I'm sure there will be, but hopefully you'll find some rhythm. Think of it as a dance. Think of it, if you're going into a dance, you've got a certain rhythm to your movement and your partner hasn't. You've got to find a way to get them on board, hands on your shoulders, moving your body, moving your hips, moving your legs, moving your feet, and dancing in a way that you get back into that rhythm. And remember, it is about harmony at the end of the day. So hopefully that's useful, and I shall see you again on another Dr. Rowe on the Go.